And we are live.
Well, good morning, everyone, from the StormTrack 5 Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Kid Alexander, and also joined beside David Boyd, meteorologist David Boyd as well. We have a lot of winter weather to tell you about. There's going to be a lot of changes today, and not only that, we're going to be looking at a long duration cold spell, but we've got some winter weather to tell you about first today, and well, some changes that will also take place tomorrow. But yeah,
tell us about these alerts here.
So yeah, first let's start with the winter storm warnings. We have that in effect for Smith County, back to Buchanan and Dickinson counties. So this is a more significant area that we're going to be watching. The potential is there in these locations for up to 1 to 5 inches of snow. Then there's going to be freezing rain on top of that, maybe upwards of 3, maybe 4/10 of an inch of ice in these locations. Your timing with this, expected to be late morning into the afternoon, and likely it will take a while before we really see these temperatures start to warm up above freezing. So it could even go well into the evening, and it may take a little while before we see that transition over to rain. For the winter weather advisories, a little bit different, but still the potential is there for maybe an inch of snow, maybe locally a little bit more. Otherwise, the potential is also there for up to 1/10 of an inch of ice for Sullivan County, maybe a couple 1/10 of an inch for our Southwest Virginia counties here shaded in the blue. So this is, like I said, late morning to the afternoon, and eventually we'll see a transition over to some evening rain showers with some warmer temperatures.
Yeah, and what's interesting about these alerts, the ones including the Sullivan County, that's just in effect through this evening, while some of the other alerts, including the winter storm warnings, they actually go into tomorrow. And that's because temperatures are going to be climbing, and we're going to see rain tonight in most areas into tomorrow morning. Then it goes back over to some snow showers. We also have some high wind alerts for the mountains and foothills of East Tennessee. High wind warning, Greene County, southern Greene County, including Camp Creek and Unicoi County. Could see some localized gusts over 60 to 80 miles an hour. Wind-prone spots like Camp Creek, and then wind advisory for the mountains of Carter and Johnson County. It's going to be windy everywhere on Monday, with the strongest winds look to be the most intense winds, mountains and foothills of East Tennessee tonight into Monday morning. Temperatures are below freezing everywhere. We're near 20 Roan Mountain and Mountain City, mid to upper 20s in Kingsport, near 30 in Harlan. So we have the cold air in place. Now we're just waiting for that moisture to push in, and it's just to our west.
Just to the west, and like you were mentioning with the temperatures, that's going to be critical too for what kind of precip we see. Here's the thing too, and we're not showing it necessarily on this map, but there's going to be a warm layer of air aloft. So what's happening is the clouds at the cloud base and the clouds, well, the temperatures will be cold enough to support snow, but then it'll be hitting a warm layer that could be a couple, 2, 3, 4,000 feet and a length, which should allow for some of that precip to melt. And eventually, as it gets back to the surface, well, we were talking about colder air at the surface again with temperatures back in the 20s. Hence the reason, though, why we're looking at some mixed precip. Right now, though, like you just mentioned, David, right there on the radar loop, the moisture is just to the west. Another thing that we're talking about, too, though, is the low dew points, because we'll see this, the evaporative cooling is kind of a meteorological term that's just talking about with the moisture that's going to be evaporating. It's going to allow that temperature to stay cold, and those dew points are in the teens right now, so it's quite dry.
Yeah, the low levels are dry, moisture's moving in on top, so that's going to allow for evaporative cooling, and that will keep temperatures near or below freezing for longer through the next few hours. So let's look at this hour by hour. 10 a.m., we're seeing that snow near Jonesville, the wintry mix near Morristown and into Newport. Fast forward to 11, snow coming down in Norton, developing in the Tri-Cities, and notice below freezing around 30, near freezing in Greenville. And we could see more of a wintry mix, more of the freezing rain and sleet southern areas there at 11 a.m. At noon, many areas may see snow, and notice these darker purples. That's where we could see that burst of snow midday, and that could give us a quick inch of snow in some locations, with more of that mixing further to the south. 1 p.m. we're starting to see some drier air push in, but still mainly snow Southwest Virginia, some mixing here along the edge of the precip. More breaks by 2 p.m. But notice how northern areas stay below freezing, 27 in Norton at 5 p.m., but above freezing in the Tri-Cities, 34, 37 in Greenville. And finally, northern areas get above freezing by late evening and tonight, and going over to rain. They could actually be heavy at times. But notice, Marion and Boone still stuck near below freezing. So these areas could still see additional ice through tonight. They are near and east of the Blue Ridge. So for the Tri-Cities, notice how temperatures climbed around 30. Then as the precipitation moves in, the temperature actually drops a degree. We'll see a good chance of snow or a wintry mix midday into the early afternoon. So if you don't have to be out on the roads late this morning, early afternoon, I think I would stay off the roads in the area just in case they get bad, even in the valleys. It's certainly higher terrain. Then as we climb further above freezing, we'll be seeing it change over to some rain showers, maybe briefly a wintry mix, and then just all rain by later on tonight. But temperatures are going to be backwards tonight. They're going to be going up or steady tonight, and then tomorrow backwards again, where they fall through the day.
Yeah, and what's really happening there is the winds are actually going to be pushing in some warmer air out of the south. It's termed as warm air advection, just bringing in a little bit warmer temperatures during the overnight. Not like something we would expect, but that's what's going to be happening. Another thing that you're noticing here is the cold temperatures kind of lasting through a good chunk of today, even in the Tri-Cities area. We're only expecting highs in the middle 30s or so, but those temperatures, the high temperature likely will be closer to midnight for tonight. So that's when we'll actually see the warmest air for the Tri-Cities start to push in. Another thing we can kind of discuss here is, well, like we kind of talked about here at the top, the Facebook Live. So one thing that we're going to be looking at, and meteorologists we like to look at anyway, is the atmospheric profile, as we term it, and how much warm air is going to be aloft and what's its location, how far up, and how deep is that warm air.
Yeah, so we're going to explain why sometimes you can see rain at 29 degrees and how you can sometimes see snow at 38 degrees. And it all depends on the temperature of the atmosphere from the cloud all the way to the ground. Typically, during the most of the year, we just see rain with just the cold air up near the cloud. Well, today we're concerned about a small area of sub-freezing air near the ground. So it's starting as snow, melts into rain with some warm air coming in from the south in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, but just a small area near the ground where it's below freezing. So it still looks like rain, but we call it freezing rain because it freezes on contact and it creates that layer of ice on bridges, overpasses, power lines, everything, cars. It just creates that layer of ice. So freezing rain is probably the most dangerous type of precipitation. If that layer of cold air near the ground is a little thicker, well, it actually has time to refreeze into little balls of ice called sleet. And that's not as dangerous to drive on as freezing rain. And then, of course, we can just have snow. And sometimes you may have just a very, very thin layer of warm air near the ground, and that's when it can snow at 35 or 38 degrees, where it's below freezing almost all the way, but except near the ground.
Yeah, and I'm sure many of you can attest to this. So in years past, from living here, or really all of my life, we've seen some interesting weather setups, as I know many of you have too. One thing I have noticed in the past is where we'd actually have temperatures in the 20s at the surface. Well down to the 20s. But guess what? It wasn't snowing. It was actually freezing rain falling. And one of the reasons for that is, like you just mentioned, David, is the thickness of that warm air aloft. And of course, it follows the snow, melts right here, and then it starts to freeze again on contact, especially as it gets back into that colder air near the surface. And for that reason, of course, with some of the snow, but mainly the chance of some of that frozen precipitation in the form of wintry mix, we're in weather alert mode both today and tomorrow for some of that icy wintry mix. Eventually that transition to rain will take place, but it may just take it several hours.
Yeah, and maybe by this evening, and then scattered rain showers tomorrow morning, then going back over to snow showers Monday afternoon and evening, and gusty winds throughout the area, making it feel even colder. So for now, it's dry, cloudy, 28 degrees, and notice that dew point, 19. So the lower the number, the drier the air, and that's what we were talking about with the moisture pushing in and evaporative cooling. That's going to help keep temperatures near or below freezing in the Tri-Cities for a few hours. So let's run through the future radar once again. 10 a.m. snow to the west of the Tri-Cities. Icy mix there in pink near Morristown. By noon, snow likely many areas, and we could see some bursts of snow with the darker purples with a higher chance of that icy mix to the south. Then we'll see some breaks in the precipitation to the south, still snowing, or a wintry mix to the north and northeast. Icy mix still in Norton at 5 p.m., 27 degrees, finally above freezing in the Tri-Cities. Then a good chance of rain showers, most areas by 11 p.m., but still concerned near the Blue Ridge, east of the Tri-Cities, where we still could have some cold air holding on into tomorrow. So for this first wave of snow showers, this first round of snow, late morning, early afternoon in the Tri-Cities, we could see a quick ½ inch to inch, maybe inch and a half in a few areas, especially the further north you get. Further south, probably more mixing, and then even further to the north in southwest Virginia, a higher chance of 1, 2, or even 3 inches of snow. And this is just through today, through round 1. We also have to watch the potential for the ice, the freezing rain and sleet as we go through today. Then we have another system coming in tomorrow. But notice this temperature trend. As we have the precipitation move in, it gets a little bit colder, down to 29. Icy mix possible at 3, and then scattered rain 35 at 7, and more rain at 11 p.m. at 38 degrees. So going the wrong way today. And tonight, a few spots may stay below freezing, so we'll be monitoring that. And then tomorrow, we go the wrong way again.
Yeah, tomorrow is kind of the opposite here. We'll actually start out with the rain showers early in the day. But as we start to usher in those winds more out of the northwest, guess what that's going to do to those temperatures? Those temperatures are going right back down. So yeah, you notice early in the day, notice those winds more out of the south and west. That will still allow for temperatures relatively warmer compared to what we're expecting later on, because notice the winds will turn more out of the west and northwest. What you're seeing here, by afternoon and evening, these temperatures are going to start dropping. So well down to, even by 4 o'clock, down to around freezing. So rain showers turning back over to snow, and moisture it looks like it's going to be present with this next system tomorrow. So we may be looking at a couple more quick bursts of snow tomorrow, which may drop some more snow. Even then, we're going to keep it in weather alert mode for both today and tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll expect those falling temperatures, like I mentioned, through the afternoon and the evening. Eventually things are going to begin to taper off by Tuesday. So we're just dropping severe threat tracker back to the medium category. Here's a bigger perspective. Notice that plume of moisture, like you mentioned there, David. Quite a bit of heavy, it looks like heavy snow there showing up on radar in some of these darker blue shades. Yeah, it's really beginning to blossom here across Kentucky, and this goes all the way back to Kansas City and Wichita. Some areas have an ice storm warning, including near Paducah. There's actually a blizzard warning in place for parts of Kansas. So this is a powerhouse weather maker. The snow just to the west of the viewing area now, getting close to Middlesboro, some flurries in Knoxville, and continuing to press into the Tri-Cities. Now let's fast forward to tonight. We talked about the snow and wintry mix today, going over to rain tonight. Well, some of the rain tonight could be briefly heavy. It totals less than an inch of rain, but there could be some downpours overnight. But notice that pink, the icy mix, still to the east of the Tri-Cities, where temperatures may not get too far above freezing overnight tonight. Then here comes the cold air tomorrow. Yep, and with a northwesterly flow, notice now the snow shower starting to develop. So this is 11 o'clock tomorrow. You notice as we head into the afternoon, the evening, those snow showers, scattered snow showers will be with us. Likely, I'm sure, being a little bit heavier in parts of the mountains, but still would not be surprised to see maybe a couple bursts of snow in the valleys. So keep that in mind. We could get a quick accumulation. Here's kind of a look at those additional amounts. Not today, but tomorrow. We'll be looking at additional, anything between maybe a dusting or less for some of our southwestern locations, upwards maybe an inch, maybe inch and a half or so, but the higher amounts, maybe 1, possibly 2 or more there, some of the higher elevations.
Yeah, mountain areas will see another round of inch or 2, locally 3 up top. So this is just for Monday, the second round, Monday afternoon and evening. Then the cold air is going to stick around for a while. Highs around 26 to 32 on Tuesday. Wednesday, 24 to 31 degrees. So everybody below freezing all day. Most areas, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday. And when you factor in the wind on Wednesday, wind chills are going to be in the single digits and teens at times. Yikes. And this is going to last for a while. We're going to keep highs near below freezing in the Tri-Cities Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and still in the 30s through the weekend and even early next week, and lows in the teens Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. So well below normal. We're only going to be in the 40s for a time early tomorrow before they fall into the 30s for Monday afternoon. Yep, that's another thing to talk about, the long duration. This will be a long duration cold snap, so it's going to take us some time before we see a change up in the pattern. There is some model suggestion longer term we might eventually later in the month, but still got a lot of cold air to talk about in the meantime. Temperatures today around 36. That will be later in the day. It's going to be struggling to get there with some of those snow showers, some freezing wintry mix as well, eventually turning over to rain. For tonight, you will see periods of rain
Temperatures down around 36 or so. In a couple areas, maybe a couple degrees warmer than that, but still holding on to that mixed precipitation, especially east of the viewing area. I would say from Smith County points east, you will still have some of that wintry mix during the overnight. Here's a look at the extended forecast. Notice by Monday, still, like I mentioned, the temperatures drop, rain turning over to snow showers. So a quick burst of snow possible there with dropping temperatures. Highs only in the low 30s for Tuesday. That's it. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sun looks like develop later on. And then breezy conditions developing again midweek. And look at these temperatures, though.
Yeah,
So
13 degrees Wednesday night. And then we have to keep a close eye on Friday and Saturday as several forecast models are indicating the possibility of accumulating snow developing Friday into Friday night and then tapering off on a Saturday. So still a little early for details, but the trends are going up for accumulating snow. And as for the wind, windy tomorrow, breezy Wednesday, and then breezy again behind this other system coming through Friday into Saturday.
Yep, that's it. Like you mentioned, David, just make sure today to be safe. I would definitely play it safe and then kind of watch out for those slick conditions. It's sometimes something you won't really notice. Even sometimes in the daylight is freezing, well, the black ice potential. So look out for slick spots, especially in Southwest Virginia. Of course, one of the best ways to monitor the forecast and keep up with the latest warnings, the watches, all free at the palm of your hand. Download the StormTrack 5 mobile app. It's a great source to keep up with the latest warnings. Also, when it's safe to do so, love to see your photos. Send them to WCYB.com/chime in. We'll try to, of course, we run them on the air, we've run them on TV, but try to get them posted on Facebook too, where people can see all those photos.
Yeah, and then all of the pictures that we approve go into the gallery at WCYB.com/chime in. So if we can't get to them on the air or on social, they're there. And as Kit mentioned, more details for your location in the StormTrack 5 app. You can get the hourly details there. You can also watch the forecast video from our morning newscast at WCYB.com on the weather page and also in the News 5 app. So thanks for joining us here for a live stream update. Be careful on the roads if you have to be out late morning into the afternoon. It'd be best just to stay off the roads if you can as that snow and wintry mix develops and then temperatures climb later on tonight.
Yep. Have a good, safe day.